Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the latest installment of No Cookies for You. I'm Derek Malikian with my co-host Amanda Moore. How you doing, Amanda?
I'm doing great. How are you, Derek? Long
Yeah,
time no chat.
doing fantastic. I'd say a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I have my cookie in hand, my coffee. It's not, it's a little later than we typically record. Oh, I put my, so well, I'm going to just go right into the cookies. Um, I told you I had one of these stroop waffles from Amsterdam in an earlier episode over the summer. And I said, I was drinking iced coffee then, and I said I would just wait for them until I had a hot cup of coffee in the winter. And like, I put the stroopwafel over my hot coffee. And now it's kind of warm and melted inside. It's gonna be so good. Yep, it's so good. So that's my little I don't know if they are made for coffee cups, but that's what I do. And it's glorious. Um, so what cookie do you have?
So today I've got it's called like on top by
Oh, that's interesting.
Pepperidge Farm. And I actually had these last week and I ate the whole entire bag. And I was like, I'm going to use this for the next episode. But man, they're kind of like these soft batch chocolate chip cookies. Amazing. Like very
See,
dangerous.
you buy whole things of cookies, right? You'll buy like a whole thing of Oreos. I don't need that in my life. So I go with a couple, like I've had an 8 pack of these stroopwafels for a few months. Um, but if I bought a whole thing of cookies, like I would eat them all in a couple of days. So usually I go to Crumble, but today I decided to just hit my sprinkle. Oh, you can see that it's like a little bit melted on the, it's oozing out. It's so good.
Does it have like a hint taste of coffee or is it just warm?
Mm-mm, it's just warm. Um, well, today's topic, folks, is discussing. I mean, we jumped right into coffee, cookies, and never introduced the episode. So, I guess I'll do that. Today, we're going to talk about Kentucky, Indiana, Rhode Island, which all go into effect um, in the first of the year. So we're going to discuss the nuances or not so nuances of these laws. Um, and then maybe dive into things that I find a bit more problematic and going down like Amanda's little rabbit hole of craziness for a hot minute. I'll try not to drown the audience in my irritations with all of the privacy laws in general to date, but I'll share a little bit of my where my head's at. So, you want to get started?
Yeah, let's do it. You gotta love when privacy laws come out right on the first day, after after New Year's Eve.
Right? After everyone just has finished opening their Christmas presents, sitting by the fire. Yeah, and you get privacy laws. That's always a fun thing for to start the new year. But good news is there isn't anything huge that I think is a complete departure from any other privacy law that we've seen, right? There's a variation of the same thing in each of them. So if you're complying with privacy laws now, you can probably comply with these three laws. Um, some of them, I don't know if Kentucky or Indiana has this third party list requirement. This is something that we haven't seen in all of the laws. Um, but Rhode Island definitely has the third party list like requirement of like third parties similar to Oregon, where you have to disclose or people can request a list of third parties that you share personal information with. So if you're doing privacy on a state by state approach, of course, that is a thing to look at in these laws. What are some interesting things that you have seen?
Yeah, I think Rhode Island, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Just reading like Rhode Island's legal text, it's very kind of high level, and it's like, hey, if you're if you don't know what you're doing, from a privacy program perspective, like already, like you or if you do, right, like it should be pretty easy to kind of comply with it. Um, one thing was interesting is I didn't see anything about like a cure period on there. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like, hey, you should know what you're doing already,
right.
and you're going to get in trouble um, right away,
We're not
which I thought,
warning you.
yeah,
No warning shots off the bow. It's yeah, enforcement in full force. Which, I think it's kind of reasonable because they have a threshold in their law of 35,000 customers. So you have to be a pretty big company and you're probably operating in multiple states because Rhode Island is a small state.
mhm,
So if you're a big company, you probably have to comply with other privacy laws, and those don't have a cure period or the cure period has already passed. So you should be able to comply with Rhode Island. So there's nothing really different about it. And I get why Rhode Island did not put a cure period in it, especially since they have a threshold of 35,000 customers. So in Rhode Island, that's kind of my thoughts. I'm sure there's, other takes. Another thing I found about Rhode Island, and it's really all of the states, right? They all somehow accept um, political organizations. It's rules for thee and not for me. And these people writing the laws wouldn't want to impact their reelectability, right? They don't want like the ability to opt out of targeted advertising for political purposes because obviously that means I'm not going to receive their political ads when it comes time for reelection. Um, so that has consistently annoyed me about all the laws where the people writing the laws, they want to put these restrictions on corporations, big tech, but they don't want to have transparency in what they're doing, which I think is incredibly problematic, especially as some states, like the great state of Utah that I live in, are trying to roll out digital ID, which we're going to have its own episode about because we were talking before the show. This is a big deal, and I don't think people realize that how big of a deal this is. Um, but yeah, there's zero transparency on the people writing these laws. So I don't know. It's kind of dejecting in a way and infuriating. And I got a little animated before the call. So I'm trying to
oh,
just take a breather, drink my coffee, eat my cookie, and calm down.
yeah, all good, totally makes sense, and um, yeah, it'd be interesting to talk about the digital ID thing because I just learned about it, 15 minutes before we started this show, and now I'm very intrigued by it and a little not like worried, but want to do some research
Yeah.
on it
I
for
think,
sure.
yeah, this episode may be short, but the next one um that we're going to record, I think I want to do a really in-depth, maybe even share my screen and kind of go through articles like some of the podcasters do, just to kind of organize my thoughts because this is coming and we talk about privacy laws, but this isn't necessarily privacy laws, but these decisions affect people's privacy. And so the next episode, I feel, is going to be an episode for everyone. It doesn't matter where you work. If you are a citizen of this country, the United States of America, the next episode is for you because this is a big deal and they're not putting it uh, under the guise of privacy or data protection. Of course, they try to spin it like, oh, this is how we're protecting your privacy. No, this is how you're tracking my every movement. Um, so I have opinions. I'm going to save those opinions into our next episode. I'm going to try to drink my coffee again so I can breathe. I'm on fire today, Derek. Um, what else did you find peculiar about these laws?
Yeah, what is your opinion on this? Because in the Rhode Island one, it's like if a commercial website or internet service provider collects, stores, and sells customers' personally identifiable information, does that mean if you are collecting and storing but not selling customer information that you don't have to
That's interesting. I didn't pick
comply?
up on that. That's super interesting. Let's see if I can pull up that law. I didn't pick up on that, but um that's a good point. So
Yeah, I forgot what section it's in. Let's see if we can find it. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting because I didn't like the way I look at it is like, oh, yes, we're still going to do privacy, for
yeah.
the state of Rhode Island, but like, you know, do you
Oh,
have to?
maybe it's information on sharing practices. So if yeah, so let's see. So it's in the subsection information on sharing practices. So for that third party list, that's when it seems like that's when it applies. I didn't pick up on that, but um in the first read, but that's what it sounds like. So it doesn't mean you don't have to comply with the whole law. You just probably don't have to comply with the information sharing practices section. I don't know. Any commercial? Interesting. Well, that's for the lawyers to dive into and give us a whether whether it applies to your company or not. Um, I noted something. Kentucky had this weird authentication standard for opt-outs. So it you have to comply, or they say that authenticated requests for opting out of target advertising sale and profiling, which, in California, there's a zero factor authentication. So, I mean, not if you are complying with California, you're fine.
Mhm.
But I just found it interesting that they kind of called out authentication for opt out because that is not something that I have noticed in other laws. Maybe I used to be really good when there were like three laws. When it was three or four laws, it was Colorado, California, Virginia, and Connecticut. I was solid. I knew which law said what. Now I have to refer back to notes because I'm wearing my data rights for all sweatshirt. And at this point, it's really data rights for all because there's what 19 states on the books at the first of the year. So pretty much all the states have privacy laws in effect. Um, but yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting specification in Kentucky's law. But yeah, um, the Rhode Island one is very
So Kentucky's
interesting.
saying that in order to opt out, you have to authenticate?
Well, it says the controller has to comply with authenticated requests, but it doesn't say that you have to have a no authentication, a no, not authenticated
I
request.
gotcha.
So, I mean, if you don't have an authenticated, if you have a zero factor authentication for opt-outs, which, at the end of the day, some of these, the companies who are having to comply with these laws, I think, are finding themselves in what is the right thing to do, versus what does the law specify, right? So if someone wants to opt out of targeted advertising, the right thing to do is probably just to let them opt out of targeted advertising no matter where they live, right? So, more websites are having the cookie banner and, honoring universal opt-out mechanisms. So I think this is where like ethics and privacy intersect, and in some for some of these laws, it's deciding what's the easiest and right thing to do and
Mhm.
then move on. So yeah. I mean, unless you're really still going state by state, which I don't know how that is possible, taking a state by state approach and only complying with the law as it's written, it's just so much work. You would have to have like 20 privacy professionals to manage all the nuances in the laws and a really complex technological ecosystem. If you're like, oh, for Kentucky, we're gonna like make them authenticate to opt out. Like that is just way too much work. So for practical purposes, I think people will just go with the regular standard.
Agreed. You need like a hire a lawyer that is specific for each state,
Right.
which could
Like,
cost a ton of money.
yeah, I mean, is the juice really worth the squeeze at that point? Like, what are we doing here?
Exactly. I think one thing in Rhode Island too, which is like, uh, what does it say? Something about in your in your notice, you just have to put like a description of how somebody can, do their consumer rights, which I thought was kind of interesting. Let me see what section
Rhode
it's in.
Island, they're like all about transparency. So, um, oh, well, of course, but not for the people writing the laws. There's no transparency there. It's just transparency, allegedly. Allegedly, I don't want our little podcast to get sued over something silly, but it doesn't seem that way.
Don't get us shut down, Amanda.
I'm gonna get us canceled. I'm gonna get us canceled in like 2 seconds. We're like one episode away from getting canceled. Um, anything else that
I
you
think
saw?
just, oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
no, 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 no. That I just want anything else that you saw that was peculiar.
Not really. I think just, you know, status quo of things and just, heightened risk, things like targeted advertising, sale of information and profiling, like, that's, very common thing we're seeing and like stuff that's like pay attention to this. And if you're doing these things, like,
Yeah.
you know, you need to make sure you have the proper controls in place. And then just data protection impact assessments on those things. Um, all three of these states kind of call that out, which is nice and at least outline like here are the things
Yeah.
that are a requirement for these assessments.
All right. Well, I mean, it's pretty more of the same. Another day, another law. Um, but for all of you regulators out there who may be listening to this, please have some transparency for yourself and not just corporations. And yeah, I'm gonna probably get in trouble for saying that, but but like it's just kind of ridiculous. And I think with everything happening in the world right now, we could use a little transparency with our government, right? So not to get too political, but just like have a little just be transparent. This is how conspiracy theories are manifested, is that if there's no transparency, then you have people filling in the blanks. Um, and it's essentially fueling the conspiracy theory rabbit holes by not being transparent. So yeah, and we'll talk more about digital ID. I'm going to do some research. Wow, I'm ready. I'm ready, gloves off. So, until the next episode, how was your cookie? How were those awesome cookies?
Yeah, they're they're amazing. Like I like, and it's a small bag too. It's not like a huge Oreo cookie bag with 50 of them in it. I think there's like 9 in here, which isn't
Oh, that's not bad.
too bad, but um yeah, they're really good. Soft baked and, you know, highly advised trying them at least once in your life.
Okay, will do. I'll probably buy them before I like go on travel, and that way I can like give them away so I don't eat them all. That's kind of my plan. Like I bought for a first episode that we tried to record, but we didn't record. It didn't turn out well, so we had to re-record it. I bought the Thin Mints and the lemonade Girl Scout cookies. Remember that? And I brought them to the hotel and then made everyone eat them so I wouldn't have to bring them home. Yeah, that's the plan. We should do
Gosh,
another
that was, can't believe it's almost been a year already.
Really? Has it been a year?
Almost.
Oh yeah. What was it, April? May?
March, I think.
March?
I think
Dang.
so.
Oh yeah,
Which,
that's right. Because one of our people left in April. And so, wow, time flies, man.
yeah, it's
Dang.
crazy. I can't believe Thanksgiving is here and then Christmas and yeah, it's nuts.
All right. Well, and enough about us reminiscing here. Just mind blown this episode. Um, so thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. And thank you, Derek, for the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you all and take care.
Bye.